enjoyed a lot. The feeling was amazing. No, thank you.
Alvaro Bautista.
It's one of those situations now. We'll wait and see what happens to get across.
2 7th places, but a combative 7th place in race 2 of the Dutch round, round number 3. Performance from Gerloff in race 1 yesterday afternoon. With
the sea has to have such a good result in the Super Pole race. Has
afternoon from 14th. If he makes further gains here, it is 10th position on this occasion.
Let's see what he can do now, where he's having to come through on everyone else.
So we skip him to see Philip Ertl here in 11th and 10th. Danilo Petrucci 12th in race 1. Only that he
Voice Luminous White Brightening Cream baru. Kulit lembab tampak cerah bening cerah luminous.
Baby Happy Body Fit Pants dengan True Technology, daya serapnya ekstra 70%.
He would have wanted, but Aragon last weekend was a weekend where it
managed to still fight his way through into 5th in race. Only take 13th earlier on today. He starts from that same Bassani and Dominic Egerter. Bassani still top in.
You certainly would have expected a lot more from the likes of Bassani.
A surgery, well, 2 surgeries during the summer to try and get him. Safety car is pulling away. 5 minutes till we get on.
Got to do. From race 1 and Super Pole race.
Alvaro Bautista somehow comes unstuck at standings. Alvaro Bautista and Toprak Razgatista, who comfortably has the edge there off the podium in 2023. Alvaro Bautista in Portimao if he completes that titles. Alex Raby and Steve English bringing you
the number 21. Can he get himself into the fight? And Michael van der Mark, the only rider out there trying something a little bit different.
Critical as far as the number 60 was concerned.
What was interesting, the last few rounds back were all about trying to just build your...
Razgatlioglu was on the outside of the front row. Bautista was on row.
Turn 1 or turn 3.
Great to see the main grandstand here.
Massive stoppie there from Toprak on the way to the grid.
Toprak is going to need to do exactly the same against Alv. Championship point, race 2 of the 2023. Into 5th position, they bunch in the mid-pack. It's John Andrea Locatelli, Garrett Gerloff, scrapping with Iker Lecuona.
Yeah, and you can see here at the front of the field.
Could perhaps have done with Locatelli attacking Bautista.
See if you're able to come through.
Razgatlioglu versus Bautista.
And Javi Vieira here were side by side into turn 3 and
back Locatelli. Bit of a train from 3rd position down. Gardner only Locatelli had already fainted to the inside there on Remy Gardner.
Bautista and for Locatelli, they know that that's...
Toprak then out breaking him back into turn 1, but here we go.
Is that going to be something that becomes a factor for Bautista to try and get him
position? And Gerloff ends up back behind Lecuona now in pace of Michael Ruben Rinaldi. Is it enough to close?
He's able to just open that little bit of a gap to Locatelli. Locatelli's
back. Bassani, we know, always charges hard in the early laps. He's got a surprise into turn 2. Toprak though has the cut back into turn
to keep Bautista at bay for more than another couple of laps.
Well, if Bautista
the race goes on compared to Toprak, so for Toprak,
Toprak sliding his way in, doing everything, but most of the lap distance is being led.
He can to get himself back in front. Bautista's that are dirty but clean in some ways, and yeah, with the 0 tyre, Bautista's bike works better than...
Then with Bautista in 2nd place, Rinaldi 3rd, and Gerloff now through on Iker Lecuona, so up in the top 5 again.
On the limit on that break point to try and hold off Toprak.
And Toprak forces it open, and lane twice now. He has crashed out at turn 1 on...
To less than a half a second.
I believe that Jonathan...
The difference for Ray, he's battling for 15th position, try and get himself...
Whose best opportunities. He closes on Bautista. Here Bautista will fancy his chances of soaring away to... That's where he needs to get it done, because if he's behind going into that final...
Is always so difficult to beat, so Alvaro, he's putting...
is at his strongest, and he finally has clear tracking.
This is that by 0.3 of a second.
And that's the margin that...
To be in a position to try and attack, because we know that...
A repeat of what he did in Aragon, bide his time. And that will mean if Bautista is a 10th of a...
This point to turn 1 is where Alvaro's just able to get it at the best, even though he was closing up all that margin.
Underneath them come the end of the race. Does Rinaldi have enough to answer?
To be able to go with Toprak. 2.3 seconds though.
He is going to make the lunge down the inside. Track position is with Razgatlioglu, but I'm sure this is...
Another few tenths of a second over Rinaldi. Pole race this morning, and you can see once again for Toprak
underneath him to make big advantages over his ride.
Constantly attack or defend against Bautista.
Toprak though has the inside line.
Toprak, you can see there really on the edge at this all the way through the race. We saw in Aragon the bike moving around onto...
It's Alvaro Bautista 2nd, Michael Ruben Rinaldi with mechanical problems, and what an unfortunate end to a win 1. This time Bautista's later in on the break.
Here for the 54, and he will be in a position to attack again. We're into 2/3 distance now.
Top feature length race distance. He's beaten him in the super
Gap, that's as big as it's been, which means that on the run down in towards
on Razgat Lioglu. Toprak is deep enough on the job of conserving the tyre.
there's a big part of me always wants to see Toprak.
Keep an eye out on Rinaldi, because if Bautista does get clear of 2 seconds down on Razgat Lioglu, the race leader. Masterclass in racing is being put on here by Toprak in towards turn 1 on the break point. Razgat Lioglu needs to make the pass here on Bautista.
And then those uphill right-handers become really
Down the inside into turn 11. Bautista has
headed up for a few corners, hoping we were on board. Maybe there was a
needs to. This is lap 15. 6
for Bautista. This is where he can afford to make those mistakes.
them down.
So much confidence from Toprak to get down the inside. He's trying to push on to get himself right back up towards right.
Sets up on Bautista, even if Alvaro can make up
7/10 of a second in hand coming into that last second. Love it from Garrett Gerloff. The last 3 rounds we've seen him. He's a really strong rider with that package.
4th and a 5th in
He'll be in a position again down the start finish straight to attack into turn 1. It was very consistent. 41-0 again last time.
than anyone can count. Certainly run out of fingers for that by now. 3 back. Gerloff 1.2 down on the
Through that corner.
No, but Razgat Lioglu is putting the back at Toprak. Razgat Lioglu, the only man who has covers the race lead.
Toprak inch 13. That's get that drive onto the start finish straight.
So Bautista is the key man, and his gap is still 1.2. Race victor on 7 occasions or
8. So on the last lap, Toprak needs to be through by the time we
sits in 2nd position. That's the one thing Bautista can't afford, of course. 2 laps to go then. Razgat Lioglu and Bautista for the moment at least, but Razgat Lioglu really making a
able to make an easy overtaking move this chance.
Toprak looked like he was a little bit wide going through turns.
And to see Toprak with that confidence and the drive to come through turns 12.
Lioglu moves to block. Bautista then will have the in. But does Bautista just wait until the final turn?
I think Toprak has given everything he has in this race against
Season, but will it be a 60-point margin, or will it be on today? On that occasion, he picked off Bautista, surges to the outside. Razgat Lioglu tries to block him.
He has ridden so well in that race. Alvaro's timed it.
Is what it does in terms of the point standing. 60 points, the gap between.
Alvaro does what he has to do to win that race. He times it really well.
In the race to the line, just as he did in the Super Bowl race.
So often, and again, we see another race where he just been able to take anything away from him for what he's done on the track. And he knows tactically what he has to do during the races. Toprak have ridden their perfect races. It's just
at the time as he equaled that record across the line
on the bike. Bautista's been able to have that super duos at a 2nd world title.
Yes, of course, he's not almost at every turn between those two, and
Toprak can do on a superbike. And you have to, barring an injury, Alvaro's getting
of the leaders for the majority of that race.
And then the super pole session drops him down to the 5th row of the grid.
I kind of feel that it probably would have been the best
of Honda. He was still scoring points each.